Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mariner's Spirit, courtesy of the Supernatural Inc. Network. And tonight's show is going to be a special show. We have a few co-hosts with us tonight, and we have a very special guest. And before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and mention a few things that the people I support in the community. And number one, it would be Pottergraphs, which Tim Miley and his wife Lauren, and they go ahead and do events throughout the season, and those events are done usually in like a Paracon type, where they'll have like 7 or 8 speakers, something like that, over the weekend, and they'll do, and it's all for fundraising, and it's all for his charity of choice, which happens to be for sheltered animals. And they do an awesome job. And if you ever get a chance to go to one of his events, do so, because he does a awesome job. And his wife Lauren has been a big additional help. That's for sure. Secondly, it's PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, with Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson, and they're from down in Florida, and they do basically the same thing, only they started out, and they'll do haunted houses too, and then they'll do haunted houses, and then they'll do haunted events and things like that. And all the money they raise is raised for cancer research. And they've been doing that for quite a few years. We first saw I first met them at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in Old South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, back quite a few years ago. So we had a great show that night, and they're great people. So I said I would be mentioning them on the show. So that's done. And the only other thing I have to do is I have to usually mention the authors that I support. But before I do that, I'm just going to do this and hold this up, because this happens to be a book by one of our members from our Wednesday show, and it's done by Victoria Munday, and it's called The Seven Lights. And if you get the opportunity, check it out, because it is really, really, really a good book. And it just broke probably 2 weeks ago now, I think it was. So before we get the opportunity to go ahead and bring everybody out, I'm just going to mention the authors. And it's Bruce Holliday, Tobias Wayland, Adam Benedict, Kathy Kressel, Barnaby Jones, Sherilyn Cotter, Dr. Heatherly Langdon, Lynn Monet, Ron Iacovetti, Victoria Munday, Tony Rathman, Natalie Jones, Patty Negri, Sylvia Schultz, Amelia Cotter, Rex Nielsen, David Sloan, Christina Bloom, D.A.Y. Song, Joseph Hellant, and Dr. Rebecca Fosters. And we already mentioned Mr. Rex Nielsen. So that's great. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the people that are here. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring in, here's Carol Garcia.
Hi.
She's one of our co-hosts tonight. We have Rex Nielsen, the other co-host. And then we have Miss Emmy McKenzie. And Emmy McKenzie's also the co-host.
And look, you can't see my face because you gotta like it.
You're fine. We can see you fine. So we're going to bring on our special guest tonight, who is someone that I always love to have on the show. He's a great gentleman. He's put a lot into the paranormal community. He's well known, and this is Mr. David Oman of the Oman House. So,
Oh my God.
David, welcome, David.
Thank you for having me on. And by the way, I have to tell you, what you're hearing is the dead bell from Ghost Stop Paranormal banging away behind me. So if you want to see where it is, please see. That's where it is. It's on the my friend's haunted upright piano.
Holy cow. Well, that's pretty cool.
Do you have a microphone or are you using your camera app?
I'm using the camera.
Okay, you sound a little hollowy. My bad.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. Now I have to force my face into the screen.
Yeah, you got to go right up.
Well, Emmy would go ahead, and she's sort of like the stickler for that kind of thing, and we would love to hear you the right way. So it's important to go ahead and bring it up.
What?
So
Nobody
anyway,
else can say it?
I'm on a laptop. There's no other microphone besides the camera mic, unfortunately. I don't have a hookup for a mic.
we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this thing through just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome. Has anything been happening over by you that we need to know of?
No, I mean, just the bell's been going off. I mean, I've had it on for the past about 5 hours, and it's gone off a few times. But now that we're on the show, it's like chiming in, like letting me know they're here with us.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So to start it off, the last time you were on with us, you were on with me, and I think you were on with Reggie. I think it was back probably a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, we actually did a show with David on here, me and you.
Yeah. So that was how long ago was that? See, I have no memory, so
about a year ago now.
I would say it was about a year or so. It's great. It's great to have you on, and when it comes to the history of your house and the neighborhood and everything else that's happened, if you want to go ahead and say a few words on that part, and then we have everybody here that's going to be asking questions. So,
all right. In a really quick nutshell, my father and I bought this lot some 27 years ago in 1999. And it was foreclosure, and it was right down the driveway from where the Sharon Tate murder house had once stood. And I say once stood because 5 years prior to my purchasing this lot, the house was torn down and a new house was being built there. So we bought the lot. My father and I built this house here. It took us about 3 and almost 4 years to build it. And during the construction, there was funny stuff going on. It was like, how should we say, it was letting me know that how special this property was. And to my desire, I've always wanted to experience a haunted house, not so to speak to own one and to live in one, but that's where it ended up going. During construction, stuff was happening here with the contract laborers who were having things happen to them, and they were asking me if I was responsible for moving, tools. I was like, no, I don't engage in that kind of stupidity and pratfall play. And one of the guys, right before we were done with the rough construction, had told me that he had a weird experience here where he was on the 3rd floor. So if I can describe it, the house is at street level, is the top floor. Then we have 2 floors below that. So they're about 30 feet down the hall, down the house line, so to speak, to the 3rd floor. And he described himself as being here by himself late in the afternoon in summer. And he heard voices and footsteps coming from the top floor where I am right now. And he says he heard them echoing, the sounds were echoing through the stairwell all the way to the bottom floor. And he could hear them clear as a bell. So he thought it was my father and myself up here visiting to see how the site was. And we weren't here. So he came running up the stairs saying, "Donde estás, Señor Paul, Señor David, donde estás?" Goes out on the driveway and sees there's no cars up here at all. And it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. Probably, as a matter of fact, I hate to say this, but around this time of year, mid-July. And it was hot as hell as he described it when it happened. And it's like it is right now. It's about 80 degrees in the house. Outside it's 73 degrees. So he came looking around, went outside, nothing. He goes back downstairs, starts working again. 5 minutes later, he hears the voices and footsteps again coming from the top floor. So he runs up here, looks around, sees nothing. He goes, that's it. I'm getting out of here. So he goes downstairs and he starts packing his bags. And he says, then it happens. And I said, what happened? He said, somebody's walking down the staircase. And I said, the staircase? He goes, yeah, you have the wooden treads and you didn't have any carpet. And I could hear the footsteps of leather-soled shoes hitting the wooden treads going down the spiral staircase, getting closer and closer. Mm-hmm. And he says it got so loud, it was like, sounded like it got to the bottom of the landing. And so he comes out of the room that's adjacent to the entryway to that room, and he looks at the landing and he walks towards it. Nothing there at all. But then it happens, he says. This ice cold like formation of like a ice cube comes rushing across the back of his neck, below his hairline, above his shoulder blades, and he says his whole body stood erect, and the hair on his body stood straight up, and he screamed, a dos míos, llame boy. Translated from Spanish, that means, oh my God, I'm leaving. And he didn't come back for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, and after I moved into the house, I'd say, about a couple years later, I was in the same room in the theater watching a film with a girl. It was White Chicks. We were watching it, and we were talking, and all of a sudden, we hear the sounds of a man's voice talking to somebody coming down the stairwell. So I go into the bedroom, and I pick up the phone next to the theater room, and it's like a dial tone. It's like, oh, I must have missed the call. So I picked up my cell phone, and I called the home line, and I heard ring, ring. And I was like, wait, whoa. I didn't hear a ring, ring before I heard the man yabbering. And I said, wait a second. So I looked at the caller ID on the phone. There wasn't a call that had come in for 4 hours. So I go upstairs. I tell my date to wait a second. I go upstairs and I run to the gosh darn dancing machine to see if there was a voice message on the machine. No messages. I go through the house. All the windows were shut and closed. And I go back downstairs and I say to my date, I said, so, can I ask you a question? She goes, sure. What's going on? I said, I said, I'll get to that. I said, what did you hear? What did, she goes, I heard a guy talking. I said, can you describe him? Caucasian, late 20s, early 30s, no accent, just like he was having a conversation with somebody. I said, yeah, that's what I heard. And then I said, you didn't hear a telephone ring before you heard the man's voice, did you? And she goes, no. I said, okay. And then she goes, whoa, wait a second. Do you mean to tell me what I think you're trying to tell me by asking me these questions? I said, what do you think I'm trying to tell you? And she goes, that there was a spirit, as you call it, that was talking about, and I said, for lack of better words, yeah. And then I said, you didn't hear the telephone ring until I called the phone on the home line. She goes, yeah. And I said, you didn't hear the telephone ring before you heard the guy's voice? And she goes, yeah. I said, and there's no messages on the answering machine, and all the windows throughout the house are shut, so I ain't got any explanation for what the living hell we heard. At that point, she goes, goodbye, I'm out of here. I'll never see you again. I don't want to know you. I'm done. I'm out. I can't deal with this crap. And took off, and that was it. The ghost basically scared her pretty much to death.
Oh, so that ruined your date.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. In life, things happen for a reason. You can look at it. It ruined your date. It's like, you saved me a headache. Thank you for that. Because you just never know where and when things happen for a reason. And you don't have to know why, how, or what. But in the end, you protected yourself from something that could have been a lot different situation.
Yeah,
so,
that's for sure.
It was nuts. And so I said, we found out that as we found through the years, I always thought it was originally, first and foremost, the visitations were from the people that were killed down the driveway. I couldn't have been more wrong in my entire life because I've had people here that have no connection to the victims, and they have stuff happen to them that they relate to me is directly connected to somebody they knew who once was alive, who's passed on, and that's who's made the contact with them. At which point, what Barry Tappert said 21 years ago in 2005, the house is not just a place where the five victims from down the street come to visit. He goes, your house is the Disneyland for the dead and the Mount Everest of haunted houses because there's a ton of different spirits, not related in any way to that which took place down the street. And we've got people popping in and popping out all the time that are connected to those who walk in the house, and that's who the hell is connecting to them. Because why would Sharon Tate come out of the woodwork, so to speak, to make a visitation or an interaction with somebody that has no connection to her whatsoever? But somebody's family member or relative or friend that would have a much more vested interest in making that, transiting that distance to say hello to that person.
Wow.
And I have one point I'll make before I shut up. There was a woman here during an event we had there, and we had a seance. And I was one of the rare times at the table with the other two psychics, and there was 10 other people. And during the seance, I heard a man's voice. Here's the bell. I heard him. So I told them to stop the recordings and stop the seance. And I got back from both of my friends, the two psychics, who were each at one end of the table and the other at the other end of the table. And I said, no, I don't want to spend 3 hours reviewing the footage, looking for this moment when I got a cameraman here, and I want to keep the highest ethics and moral standards to this. So I want to do it right now, live, while he's recording it. Played one of the 3 digital recorders on the table. So begrudgingly, they agreed to do this. We played the first recorder, and out of the blue, you hear a man's voice like this say, "Let it go, Mija." Clear as a bell, but a whispery voice right next to the microphone. I said, "Play the second recorder." Same exact vocalization at that same moment. The third recorder, the same thing. I told the videographer, I said, "You videotaped that?" I said, "I want you now to re-listen to this moment in your tape." He heard the same exact thing. "Let it go, Mija." And this girl, after the seance, said, "That's my dad. He died 4 years ago of cancer, and I have not been able to go on with my life since he passed." None of which was known to anybody at the table at the seance that night.
Wow.
So that's proof of what I was saying, which made sense, which is, a person that's connected to you or to you, that's who's going to appear. Not, I need to see Sharon Tate. I want to see, I'm her biggest fan. I'm sorry. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Because people have an ego that's all me. And it's like, whoa. How about what's in it for the spirit? And that's my position about a lot of things that, for lack of better words, turns a lot of what we believe as we've been taught and what's been spread around about the paranormal and takes no consistent, conscious thought about, wait. Forget you're in the human shoes. How about the other side of the coin? You ever think about that play? And that's what people are negligent in doing, is they forget. If it's a two-way street, it means there's 2 individuals involved, one living, one dead, but still there's 2 components to this equation.
Good point.
David, have you ever captured anything on the stairs?
VD, gonorrhea. I kicked him out of the house, of course, but syphilis was a tough one to get out,
The question is, have you not ever captured anything in any of those rooms?
You're like that on her spirits. The spirit's like, ding. I want 2 dings for yes. Come on, bust the move. Bring the ding again twice. That was a good one. You appreciate it. That was of your generation. Come on. I know it's coming back, but that's neither here nor there. You guys can ring it again just to say thank you. That was funny. trying to make the spirits find humor in this. Yeah, we've caught stuff. I mean, people have captured images in the stairwell. About I want to say like 7-8 years ago, my friend was taking pictures because on the second level, looking towards the staircase, and the first image it's fine. The next image there's like this black amorphic shadow that's just manifested right there, and he goes, "I have no idea what the hell that was." He goes, "It wasn't there, but I looked at the picture one after the other. I think it was the first picture was the amorphic image, and the next one was clean." He goes, I don't know what the hell that was, but I had to share that with you. And I'm like, wow. And other people, I mean, as I say, one person was going down the stairs with a big box doing a podcast here, and he was towards the last few steps going down to the bottom floor, and his 12-year-old son was right in front of him, and he had a backpack on, luckily, with a handle on it. He says, I lost my footing, and I started falling forward with the big box of equipment, and I lost my step. And he goes, all of a sudden, I felt a sensation of somebody pulling me back by the handle on the backpack, on the back of the backpack, so I didn't come crashing down on my son. And I was like, holy wow. So
They saved him. The
saved him and me too, because I didn't want to have to deal with the fallout of that kind of an incident. Trust me. Nope, that, you know. So yeah, I mean, they protected everybody involved. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. You know, I know what my bread is better, and I know who I have to thank for things that I can't control and that they saved my ass from. So.
Right.
So who was it that, was it the workers that had an experience and they're like, no, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. They left and stuff.
One worker had that experience, and I myself had the experience of, you know, having stuff happen here, like feeling like somebody's creeping up behind me and gonna go boo. I was like, yeah, and then notice there's no one there. That kind of sensation, a lot during the construction.
That's a creepy feeling.
Oh yeah.
Because you could feel it, just like an actual person walking up behind you. You could feel a spirit doing it too.
Oh yeah. Here, that's no problem for them. We've had people that have been grabbed and touched and have their fingers put through their hair and stuff and petted. You know, I mean, but it's all, as far as I would deem it, is just a way of saying, hi, we're here. And in a lot of the cases, the sensations that they were experiencing were familiar sensations that they had experienced with the individual when that person was alive. So it was almost like a unique kind of form of communication that that person had exhibited when they were alive, and it was just happening again. It felt like my grandmother, one person said, it was like patting me on the back of the head, and it was very comforting. I said, who did you think the first person hit? It was my grandmother. I said, that's who it was. Because it's that easy for the connection to figure out where the source is.
You feel like you have a couple of portals in there, in that home?
I've been told that the whole freaking house is a freaking giant portal. Oh, no. Just a huge one like the size of Texas.
Now, I remember, I think we were doing an interview, but you had people at your house that was getting ready. They were done. They were getting ready to leave.
Right.
And the door opens because Dave's saying goodbye to them, and then also the door opens and there was nobody there. It was like this person, like, yeah, you're done. You can leave now. They went outside, they looked and everything, and Dave caught it on his cameras inside, his motion cameras or whatever they are.
The story you're speaking of is the night that I had some social media influencers here. Now here's the scoop of this, that this was an eye-opening experience. I thought social media influencers were just this little ball of wax, right? They're all totally unique, different angles to the social media influencer genre. And I use this very, very broadly, but it's true. These kids specifically, believe it or not, were Scientologist bashers. Meaning these are the kids, and I said kids, they're in the late 20s, early 20s, And their idea of a good time of an adventure was to go to the Scientology Center in Hollywood, or go to the restaurant that was owned by the man who basically sponsored whatchamacallit Masterson's legal defense in the rape case. I forgot the name of the restaurant, but they would go there and they'd harass and ridicule people and saying, this place supports Danny Masterson and is taking care of his legal fees and stuff. And it's like, and I was like, that's what you guys do? And I saw the videos and I was like Evan McCall going, are you serious? I mean, I know well enough that you don't go around with the Scientology group because they'll mess with you in ways you can't understand. And I mean, I know there's a time about the Leah Rini thing story, but one of the kids, one of the head guys of this group, was thrown in jail or threatened to be thrown in jail because he was trespassing in front of the Scientology Center. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
They're crazy.
And I said, you don't know what they can do to you. And once you're in jail, you don't have any way to protect yourself, and you don't know what can. I said, you should watch your app. So they come here, and there's 7 of them, and I'm in the kitchen, and one of the guys says, has anybody ever stolen from you? And I go, bang, right between the eyes. Of course, I remember the most famous individual who tried to steal from me, Lindsay Lohan. So I started telling them the story from inside the kitchen about Lindsay Lohan. And all of a sudden, we get to the point in the story where that. What the hell is that?
It's not me.
That's me.
Oh, I was like,
I didn't even hear it on. I apologize. I was trying to look something up that I wanted to talk about, and it was my volume.
So in the story, I got to the place where I said, and when I opened the front door, all the air left my tires.
You still hear it.
I thought it was me again. And I said, and right as I said that, the freaking front door opened up on its own. And they're standing right here. I mean, here's where we are. This is literally where we are standing. There's the front door. There. So that's the front door there. And I got to turn this out there. So there's the front door. And they're standing right here. So there's the front door. And they all heard it and they go, oh my God, that didn't just. I said, what do you mean didn't just? I said, you kids you guys are going in and out of the house and you're frivolously beginning to freaking lock the freaking door. It's 9 o'clock here in the evening, and it's not a place I want to leave a front door open because I said some 50 some odd years ago, some 5 people were killed down the street. I said, I'm not really up for leaving the front door open, so I locked the door after you guys came in the last time. And they said, yeah, we saw that because you said to us, if you lock the door when you leave the house and we come in, shut them, lock the door. I said, exactly. So they were like, oh my God, we saw that door got locked. Holy crap, that's not possible. And the door, we watched the footage. Door opened on its own, almost on cue. And I said, Lindsay Lohan walked through the door and all the air left my tires. And I was like, hey, like the spirit's like, get us out of here. We don't want to hear this story. We hated it when it happened. And we still think terrible things for now that it's over. And there was no wind because we have the cameras outside and the little rose bushes, trees that are there in the front are not moving an inch. I said, the door isn't moving because of the wind. He goes, oh no, the door unlocked and opened on its own. I'm like, so yeah, we have stuff that happens here all the time.
That's funny with the door.
You know, I want to say thank you to everybody coming in. Pearl, Jenna, J-Mac, running with scissors.
Yeah, there's a lot
I've
of
been
people.
sending you guys out and stuff to try to get you all out. And also,
I haven't seen Running with Scissors for a while.
we're going to take you up on that offer. Remember, you said me and my friends can come and hang with you for the weekend. You're going to give me a barbecue, and we're going to me and my friends. Yes,
yes, for a night.
Well, yeah, a night, and you're going to give me a barbecue, and we're going to do a live interview.
Yeah, I said for one night we could do that. Yeah.
Yep, we're gonna do that.
that.
We're gonna do it. We got you.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any difference how many friends. David?
That's a good question. How
That's
many
the-
people are you thinking?
Well, there's 4 here.
No, I'm joking. No,
That's not bad. That's small. That's small. I thought you turned to like a dozen.
oh, it's gonna be a little bit. Me and some friends have really been thinking, and I'm like, when I go to California, we're gonna be like right there, and I'm like, Dave's a good
Right there.
barbecuer.
But
So-
David's down in pretty far south, aren't you?
Mm,
No.
no,
You could go farther south than LA. Yes, you can go to Oceanside, Del Mar, San Diego, Escondido.
Yeah, but I mean,
La Jolla.
San Diego is pretty
Diego.
close to LA, isn't it?
It's about, honestly, it's 2.5 hours. About 100.
yeah, I was gonna say it's
35.
So I
way-
mean, that's a hop, skip, and a jump
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
if you're in LA.
If you're in
Yeah.
LA, sure. Vice versa. If you're in San Diego, to come up to LA.
I think it would be great to actually shake his hand.
I know the barbecue is what got me.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't the interview. And it was the barbecue. He's like, yeah, you and J Matt come on down, bring a couple friends. I'll cook. I'm like,
ribs, and I'll throw the ribs down. Absolutely.
barbecue.
Honestly,
And then,
I gotta meet you. Ribs aren't that good anymore. I changed my whole thing about thinking about it because I found that pork loin, boneless pork loin,
Really?
is meat that runs right on top of the baby back ribs, and it's far less expensive. Well, I buy it wholesale, but still, even at Costco.
Wow. Okay. Well,
$2 a pound.
definitely. I'm a big eater, and I
That's good to know.
you guys
Is
are
that
going
on the resume?
to
I'm
I'm
a big eater.
I'm going to do a live interview with David with barbecue sauce all over my face and my hands, and here I am trying to hold the microphone, and I'm putting a pork in his face. Yeah.
It keeps on slipping through your fingers. Doink.
Yeah.
Just like that little speaker thing. Rex, you're awfully quiet up there, Rex.
I just didn't want to talk over anybody.
Well, if you got anything to ask him, go ahead.
I met you one time. I was with a group of people, and all I got to do is introduce myself to you, and then it was like, get the hell out of the way. You know, no, not you, everybody else.
I'm like, what? All right, we'll go downstairs. I mean, believe you me, it's with a group of people, there's always everybody got to take care of making sure everybody's happy. Where the ghosts are. Where the ghosts at? Downstairs? I don't know. Part and parcel living here. Somebody just.
Where did you meet David at, Rex?
I honestly can't remember. It was a Paracon, but I can't remember where it was at. Or something.
You remember Dave, but Dave don't remember you.
No, I only know how many Paracons I've gone to.
I know.
I think it's about 4. I went to the Constantino's Paracon up in Santa Paula at the whatchamacallit Inn, the famous inn there with the Santa Paula Inn with Charlie Chaplin's haunted room, and that's about 10 plus more than 10 years ago now. I went to in Las Vegas I went to the a Paracon there once. I went to Toronto to the not Brightline, I forgot the name of it, the magazine that's out there from Canada, to their event. But that was a movie convention. That's all the things I've ever gone to. I haven't really gone to any other Paracons ever.
Well, if you would have seen Rex.
Oh, Santa Barbara. Well, not Santa Barbara, Ventura. Stefan Brigatti's Paracon up there last year, I think. Yeah, last year it was. I went there.
Well, Rex is a pretty big guy, so you would remember Rex because.
And I wouldn't have dissed Rex either. He's a pretty big guy. I'm starting to know that. Like, I wouldn't have said, "Yeah, get along." It's like, I was like looking up lists and going, "Yeah, okay. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk." Okay.
Yeah.
He is really big.
I'm telling you, you know.
And
He's big, and
great.
I'm just a big
He's
eater.
a great guy. His personality matches his size.
No, I don't
He's a
believe
great
her.
guy.
Like I said, only those are all the paracons I've ever gone to. Only because, look, I live in a haunted house. I'm not a paranormal investigator per se, because I don't want to belong to a group.
Right.
Because every time there's a group, the group ends up having an infight, and then it breaks up into smaller groups. I'm like, what am I going to do if the group got canceled? What do you mean it got canceled? We all split up. It's like, okay. And I mean, that's the truth. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to belong to any freaking group. Because anyone that'll have me a member of their group is a group I don't want to be a member of. Because I don't want to be in a group. I'm not a cliquish person, and I've noticed that there's competing theories, and this is my theory, and this is this. I'm going, who gives a shit? It's all theory. You can't prove it, so if you can't prove it, holding steadfast that you're holding a banner, that this is my theory, and no one's going to take it. It's like you should be flattered that somebody thinks highly enough of your theory that they believe in it to speak about it. That's what I don't quite understand. So to me, I'm not that catty about the stupid stuff. Things I'm catty about is people that fake stuff. Because I've had people say, you know, a couple of celebrity from Ghost Hunters say, your house isn't haunted. I said, okay.
Zach Bagans?
No, besides Baggins, a couple of people from the Ghost Hunters.
We lost Rex.
One's the guy, I forgot these guys' names because, Mustafa Gagagliori is one. And who's the other one? I forgot his little rat bastard name.
Hey, Rex took off because you ditched him the last time. Now he's ditching you.
I didn't ditch him the last. You think I'm so stupid. One or the other doesn't add up. I'm not like, I'm going to disrespect you because I know when I leave the Paracon, you're going to be hiding behind some freaking concrete wall to get out of me. No, I don't.
Thank you, Scissors.
Like
No, he would never do that.
I'm
He's
smart enough to know.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I
wonder what happened to him.
I wouldn't, I'd never do that.
Come back,
Where
Rex.
does he live? Is he having like weather issues? Where does he live?
He probably is because he's in Iowa.
Iowa?
He's in
Iowa.
Iowa. He's in Iowa.
Okay, not Iowa.
No, not Iowa, because
It
that would be
happened
like
Wednesday also.
out of a American, Native American type movie.
Oh, hi.
Ohio.
So I was going to ask, since last time, Shannon adores you and she wants to get with you again because remember we had you on her show, and the funny thing was he wouldn't come on the first night because it was the World Series and his team was actually versing her team and she was giving him a hard time, and then look whose team actually won.
That's the only time you'll catch me really watching baseball is the playoffs.
Yeah,
everything else is just like.
She wants to have you on the show again. She's been sharing your stuff out, so hopefully more people have been buying your books. Check and see, or your movies and stuff, because she's talking about you constantly on her shows. So
You're gonna have to leave us your links for the book, okay, please?
yeah,
Because
you guys.
the last time we did not get a link on that, and that's of vital importance for the people that are here in the comments section.
Fairly simple. It's the title of the book.com. ghostsofcielodrive.com.
And I was going to ask, because I remember we were talking, you hadn't had many, like I was asking about your Halloween parties and stuff like that, your investigation, and you're like, it was slow. So how were the spirits acting when it was kind of slow? Were they like bothering you? Because I know sometimes they like it.
No, the scoop really is that when people come over, the spirits get more, you'd say that the house spirits that are here, the regulars, get a little bit more amped up because, as I've said before, each person comes in the house, you have a better chance of bringing more energy into the house because when people come in, the spirits around each and every one of us, the 1, 2, 3, or whatever, however many people have around them, come in here. It adds to this this dynamic. So you have the regular spirits that at the moment that are visiting here at that time. So when people come in, you then get an addition, and you get a big mix, like a salad. You get a tossed mix of people, and there's a greater predisposition for activity to occur. Excuse me, because you don't know who's got or who is a
Right.
lack of.
Well, if you have somebody coming in with a positive attitude,
Well,
those
that's,
spirits.
positive attitude doesn't really like that. The spirits are going positive attitude.
Not negative, not like a Zach Bagans type
No,
thing.
no. Quite to the contrary. You don't have. They appreciate people that are pissers, people that are disrespectful, people that don't believe, people that believe that they're more. Oh, well, I know better than you, and there are no such things as ghosts. It's like, bring it on, baby. The spirit's like, yeah, bring them in.
Oh, the spirit's like,
Spirit's like, hey, come on in, come on, smart ass. Let's find out if you really have what it takes. If you're so smart after all, and if you are, see if this makes you change your mind. And an example is, one of my friends came in the house a few years ago, and he comes up and he goes, David. I got scratched in my back. And I sat and I said like this. All of a sudden, I took this type of like an attitude towards him, and it was like the spirits were whispering in my ear, telling me things that was really what pissed them off, or gave them a little bit like, really, is that so? Okay, if that's that. And I was like, so let me ask you something. Before you walked into the earthen ballroom, I'm just sitting there shooting. I said, I'm just shooting from the hip. I said, and I said this, I said, an accusatory tone, I said, because the spirit said, telling me did this. I said, you said you wanted physical proof before you went in, and you had an attitude on that comment. And it's like, I don't believe you're here because I want physical proof. And he
Be careful what you ask for.
He went pale white, his eyes open. He goes, like got caught with his hands in the perfect job. He says, how did you know that? I said, and wait a second, I'm being told you got what you asked for. I said, physical proof. This physical is your shirt. It said the physical is on the right below your shoulder blade. It's a little scratch, a little mark. I said, and there's the freaking proof. And he goes, oh shit. So we watched the video camera. On the video camera, you see the collar of the shirt lift up like this. And then the next thing he's like this, he's like trying like this. He then takes his other arm and starts to reach from the behind, up his back. And I said, and you couldn't reach the spot where you got marked. And he goes, oh shit. I said, you learned a very valuable lesson, my friend. I said, mess with spirits because sometimes you'll find yourself getting gored with the horns of a goddamn bull. And I meant that in a figurative statement, not that he was injured. He didn't get injured, but it was like, you doubt that we exist? Well, let me show you. You're going to have something to talk about, and you can't deny that this happened. And the way it was brought to his attention with that statement of, so you wanted physical proof. Is that it? And he was like, So that's what I'm saying to you. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who it is that's going to be a mixer to the spirits or bring in spirits around that individual that are going to mix and create a little funky dynamic. That's why I said you never know what's going to happen. And I can't.
But they do enjoy skeptics, though. Then, right?
They not all skeptics, but Zach Bagans is a skeptic, to be honest.
Zach Bagans. We're not even going to go there.
But they say he's not a skeptic, he's a poser. There's a big difference. He does it for his money. He does it for his job.
The Hollywood got to him, yeah.
It's not the Hollywood got to him. He never was ever interested in the freaking paranormal to begin and end with. It was a means to an end. It was a way for him to be able to say, I got a job. I can now lay my head on this. And the people that are responsible for who you now see as Zach Bagans are the goddamn producers of the show, Ghost Adventures, because when it started, you got to remember, if you look back to the very first episodes, there are three guys, three on the same level playing field. There's no one better than the other.
That's what I was going to ask you.
The producers said, we can't have three yo-yos. It doesn't sell. You got to have a leader, you got to have a follower, and then you got to have somebody that's a little bit on the edge, which is always in conflict, slight conflicts here and there.
Right.
Because drama is not three copacetic guys, ha, 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 hunky-dory.
No, but can you admit, like, maybe the first 2 episodes was actually real until,
the brick didn't get thrown in the original.
well, I got that one. Yeah, that you could tell that was in reverse. Absolutely.
That was as bunk as it gets. But
Everybody knows that. Yeah.
my point is that I never watched the show but bits and pieces, and I didn't have the stamina to put up with the nonsense that I was watching. Did you see that? Camera on my face. Oh God, I'm thinking, why do I want to see this asshole's face in reaction? What I want to see is, what's he reacting to? Why am I looking at his
Exactly.
face? Oh God, oh, did you hear that? That's drama and that's bunk. What I was interested in was, get them here to the house and let's see what happens when they enter a real place that's got some sticks and stones. That may break their bones. And the names are going to hurt them because they were casting names.
Right. No, Angelina, he's talking about Zach Bagans, but that's a good question. Has Jason Hawes and his team ever been to your house?
Yeah, they were here in 2006. They were the first people to come out here and do an episode about the house. And I had a great time with them because they had stuff happen. I was like, well, yeah, well, what else is new? I was like, because there's a kind of, I don't want to say there's a pride or a glee, but I derive a certain amount of humor and happiness out of knowing that people who come here from these shows say, yeah, and I'm going, you don't think it's real? And I laugh because I think, oh yeah, I'm trying to pull a fast one here, and I say, come on in, tell me what happens, and then they have it happen, and they're like, okay, it's real. There's stuff here I can't explain. I said, was I lying? And they're like, no, you were telling the truth. It's just way more than we anticipated because, as the story goes, so many people provide us with these stories, and they don't rise to the level of what we expect that to measure against what we were told. Because in your house, every single time, from this French production company that came out, God, 10 years ago, to shoot the real world France in here with their French, their French, I guess the actors or the kids that were doing the show, they came in the house and the producer goes, he starts scoffing. He goes, no, it's no good, no se puede, no se puede. I said, what? Qu'est-ce pas? I said, speaking French. I said, really, is that so? I said, he goes, it's too modern. I said, really? I said, it's not old enough for you, really. It doesn't have cobwebs and the Victorian style. He goes, oh, no, it's not. It's too new. It's too modern. We're sitting there talking, just me, his translator, and the other cameraman, and we're talking in front of my 170-gallon aquarium. And I said, if you don't think it's real, I said, then just keep your eyes open for things to happen because I'm getting the feeling that the spirit's a little bit upset and disrespected by you. Figurine gets knocked over. He goes, and we're 3 feet from the gosh darn canopy. And he goes, I said, see? And he goes, meld, which means shit. And I opened up the canopy and I said, look there. I said, you see the lights? I said, there's nothing under there. He starts knocking. I was okay. C'est vrai. You remember that one, don't you? You didn't like him either. So we're sitting there talking. I put the figurine back up, and a different figurine gets knocked over within a minute. And he's like, it just happened again, but it was different. I said, and he's like thinking, okay, he goes, all right, you told me it's real. I said, but I told you it was real. I said, there's nothing fake in this house. And he started having stuff happen with them. So they have the experiences here. And I was like, I told you it's real. And they go, no, thank you for convincing me to write. This will be great material. And I'm like, but again, it doesn't scare me. It never bothers me in a way like going, oh my God, my life's in danger. That's sorry. It's like, oh my God, my life's in danger. Oh shit, I'm going to get hurt. Never in a million years, man. That's not the stuff that we've been told. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of bunk nonsense that people are playing it up. They're threatened by a ghost. Really? I think the ghost is more threatened by your snowy feet than you're threatened by the ghost. Why? Because people will use this part of their brain to project what they remember as children of scary movies and the slasher movies and put themselves in that person, that character, and start to relive it in a way that it's now becoming their reality. The blending of the film and the creative side of their mind gets blended in a smashed way so that they're now associating what they saw in a movie as happening for real and interpreting it through those lenses, not through clear lenses and saying there's a ghost saying hi, and you're freaking out because you've been told ghosts lie and it can't be a grandmother, it's got to be a demon partaking in a escapade to portray your grandmother and to deceive you. Ghosts don't play deceitful games. Humans do. Ghosts do
I
not.
do have a two-part question.
Yes, let's have it.
Okay, because for some of the people coming in, when I sent the links out, some people don't know who you are because they're not part of the paranormal field. So, a fast description of who you are and what were the famous people, the spirits that come to your house, so they have an idea. And who was the first spirit to actually that you saw after your house was built? Which,
That's like a five-part question. So let's.
well,
let's
listen,
all right. Don't take it seriously.
yeah.
All right. To those of you that don't know who I am, I'm some stupid, crazy SOB who built a house down the street from where once stood the Sharon Tate murder house. Now the house became famous, or no, it's not infamous. It's famous because of the fact that I've had been on 10 different paranormal reality TV shows over the past 20 years. From Ghost Hunters to My Ghost Story to Paranormal Witness, My History, Ghost Adventures Aftershocks, RuPaul's Drag Ass, Famously Haunted Hollywood, trying to think God, Extreme Paranormal Witness. If I've missed any, I'm sorry. We won't need to go any further than that. In the time of Ghost Hunters, everybody was thinking that it was the Sharon Tate murder victims that were visiting the house.
Okay.
And in the second half to the question to ask of what's the spirit that I saw here, the only apparition I've ever seen in my entire life, full body apparition, not
So lucky.
the first and only spirit I've seen was 21 years ago in 2004. Oh, great again. Around this time in mid-July, and
Wow.
it was the apparition of Jay Sebring, one of the victims that died down the street.
Okay.
Now, here's some things that I want to tie into this statement I'm about to make. What I'm about to tell you is what I personally believe is the run-of-the-mill standard protocol for spirits and apparitions. The stories we've been told all the time along, be careful what you wear when you leave the house, because if you die, you'll be destined to wear that for eternity. That is 110% myth. When you die, you do not get to come back in that outfit in the way you died. Meaning, if you were shot or if you were decapitated through guillotine or had your head cut off by other means, or were stabbed, shot multiple times, or put in a gas chamber and dismembered by a shark, you are not going to be coming back as the way you left. That's just simple fact and truth. I don't care who says otherwise. The stories. Well, they said they saw Marie Antoinette in front of the Tower of London with her head tucked under her arm. Bullshit.
And you're always hearing people, oh, the lady in red or the lady in white hovers the ocean.
I actually think that some spirits present themselves how the person is able to perceive them.
Well, I think here's the problem with that. I didn't see Jay Sebring the way I perceived him, you know? Because
Right.
everybody who's seen Jay Sebring, including myself, 99.99% of the time, the photographs of Jay have him with straight hair, just like this. In fact, in reality, Jay Sebring did not have straight hair. Though it was the popular hairstyle of the 60s, the late 60s, straight hair was the way to go. Trust me, it was. And you can look it up. This isn't bullshit. The fact of the matter is Jay had kinked hair. Jay was a hairstylist. And
You say kink or pink? I couldn't hear you. Kink.
K-I-N-K.
Okay, sorry.
Kinky hair. You know, it wasn't straight.
Yeah,
It was kinky. So Jay, being the man who he was, living in the environment that he was in Hollywood, having to stay with the trends, developed hair relaxant, similar to what they used to use in the Afro community, Black African American community, where they would straighten their Afro hair and make it straight. It was the same type of a product that Jay made for his hair so that his hair could be straight, just like mine is right now. When I saw the apparition of this individual, he was not wearing those striped jeans that he was wearing when he was killed. He wasn't wearing that long sleeve shirt that he was wearing, and his hair was not straight. It was pink. So again, I listened to the myth all the way to the point where I saw the apparition, and he didn't register in my mind as being deceiving at all. Didn't fit the physical description that I was familiar with in my eyes, especially what he was wearing when he died. And we all know the outfit he wore and was killed in. Secondly, he didn't have any gunshot wounds or any wounds whatsoever to his face or body. He didn't have anything like how he met his untimely demise. And what he was wearing was a three-piece suit with a short lapel, crossed there, and 4 buttons down on each side, as I recall. And he had his kinked hair, and he was pointing towards the property next door to me. At the time, I thought he was pointing towards the driveway going away from the state property. He was not. In fact, he was pointing towards the vacant lot that had sat there next to my house for a number of years. Thank you, spirits. Who 10 years later, they sold the lot and decided to do a evisceration of the hillside, to go 60 feet straight down and then take the entire side of the mountain out and cut out a whole section of land 90 feet down the driveway and put up a 60-foot retaining wall going down. That's what he was coming to show me. And again, 6 months later, when I was doing research for the book, Ghosts of Sierra Drive, I went to the LAPD crime department to get permission to see if there were any photographs of this lot during the time of the day of the murders, to see if there was anything discarded on this hillside when the murders took place. And in so doing, I crossed a photograph that said on the back of it, Jay Sebring with his natural hairstyle. And it matched identically to the person who I saw 6 months earlier.
Wow. That's really something.
So like I said, when we thought that this was all about those people, the Sharon Tate victims, and then people came into the house and stuff was happening to people, and I said, wait a second, whoa. Let's stop the music. I said, why would Sharon Tate be jumping for joy to do these interactions with these people when there's no connection? And here's what I mean. About 14 years ago, my friend Brian, whose parents owned Starline Tours, was taking a private tour of this woman, her daughter, and her daughter's 2 friends. And they came up to the area and they said they wanted to see the Sharon Tate house. So they came up here and he brought them into the house. And I asked them to come in, and the daughter says, I can't walk through the threshold. It's too intense. It's like, all right, stay there. So I talked to them for 10 minutes and I said, look, I said, you know, if anything funny happens, here's my business card. And I don't generally do this, but I thought something said, give me your business card. Then later on the next morning, I got a call from the woman saying, you won't believe this, David, but my mother told me that when we were kids, that her mother was good friends with Sharon Tate's mom when we lived in Texas, and the families used to get together to go out for picnics in the summer. Wow. So I said, all right. I said, all right, now I understand there was a connection. It was making sense. So I said, look, why don't you guys come over for dinner tonight, and we'll sit down, we'll have a dinner. So her husband, her daughter, and her daughter's 2 friends sat down at dinner, and we ate dinner here. And in the middle of dinner, a glass of wine slid across the table about this far, and the wine was going from side to side, sloshing up to the lip and then stopping. And I sat back and I said, okay, now I've seen everything. Meantime, the woman's husband's looking into the glass table, and I said, that's a crystal wine glass. And this is a gosh damn crystal table. I said, there's nothing that is a magnet or anything. That you just saw was real. And I said, and I heard a voice say, oh, it's just Sharon. We just want to let you know we're here. And I was like, oh my God. Wow. So that's the kind of stuff that's happened here that makes sense that it's connected. Not that I knew in advance, but through circumstance, it was revealed there was a connection to her when she was alive, and when these people's family was in Texas. Excuse me. And again, with the girl whose father came through and said, "Let it go, Mija," was directly connected to her. So there's a distinction of what's going on here, and it's clearly understandable and makes sense.
Yeah, I love listening to your stories. I mean, I've had you on my panel, God knows how many times. We've been on other people's panels, and you always have so many. And they're not stories. They're you guys. These
No,
things.
there's
These are
stories. They're
they're
experience.
stories, but he never tells the same story twice unless we ask him, and that's you know.
He has 150,000
Oh,
happenings
quadrillion
happenings that
zillion.
happen to him.
And that's what I love having Dave. And
Well,
he gets so theatrical when he tells them the
well,
excitement.
he's excited because
I know, and
it happens
I love
in his
that.
house.
I love PDX Paranormal with Pat of the Bone. What we'll do is we'll do the gosh darn boneless pork loin, which is phenomenal. It's like having baby back ribs, but you're not paying for the freaking bone.
Oh yeah.
And
So
I bought an 11-pounder for $1.90 wholesale. I bought 4 packages of them because I bought a box, and I froze them. But I'm telling you, they are so much better than buying baby back ribs because
I
baby
bet.
back ribs at Costco today were $4.29 a pound. And I'm thinking,
I bet they're so tender.
and the pork loin is the meat that's right that you're eating. When you eat baby back ribs, you're eating that same meat, except in the pork loin, there's no bone, there's no rib bone that you're that time. No, not at all. And
You can't fight over the bone.
Yeah, that's so. We will have to tell you when we're coming. Get the barbecue sauce and get
I got
everything.
my 20 bottles of slow simmered barbecue sauce.
Tell me what to bring, and I'll bring it and stuff to go with
you can bring a little cash, and we'll put it in towards the whatchamacallit. So go down to the meat wholesale and get something what you want. Like I said, they said no. The pork loin is the best thing. It's unsung hero. It's like it really.
Wow.
He goes, you figured it out. I was
Now,
so
when Omar and all of them were there, they didn't investigate your house, but you did cook barbecue for them, huh?
The joke was when Omar Gosh came out here 6 years ago, they were going to come back 2 nights in a row. So the first night I said, look, we can barbecue. And said, all right, barbecue goes. So we had 3 racks of ribs. When we went to walk around the house, by the time they got to the 3rd floor and they hit the big theater room and the sofa chairs, they were already full and tired and basically satiated with just sitting in the chairs, in the lounge chairs, on the sofas, kicking back. And I was saying, so we're not going to investigate tonight. He goes, no, we're fine. We'll just tomorrow. And tomorrow never came.
Oh, man.
That's why I said, I'm going to investigate you, why I'm chowing down on the sauce and everything. And yeah,
you're going to sticky up all your equipment.
Yeah, Vegetable, she has gone to a lot of places too, and your house has been a house she's been wanting to go to and stuff.
You gotta come here. Nick Roth is coming out in a couple weeks as well.
Who?
Nick Roth.
Really? Now see, what's his name? Not Ed. Howard. Howard said he had spoke to Nick Roth like a couple months ago too. So
thanks, Spirits. You're right. Very soon he'll be visiting with Tessa. So I look forward to it because she's never seen the house. And it's like, oh, Nick's been here twice. Once since the shooting of Ghost Adventures. He was out here about 6-7 years ago visiting, doing a promo for Paranormal Lockdown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so we shot that, and that was crazy because stuff was happening, and I have it all on film. And it's like people at Discovery Channel said that we couldn't use the footage to get a release because we didn't know where it was going to land. And I said, wherever it lands, we'll make sure that Nick's promoting the TV show that he's on, Paranormal Lockdown. And they basically wouldn't get. Now that he's done with Discovery, he's like, yeah, if you want the footage, we can use it for a docuseries. It's like we'll use it for a docuseries because it was that good. So
okay, another question. You know who else we gotta have come to the house for the barbecue? Because I've been talking with him. Come on, Jack Osborne. I've been wanting to interview him. No, not Jack. Oh, no.
I was on Fight Club. That was the thanks, Spirits. I needed that. That was the show we didn't mention.
Ozzy Osbourne's
and,
kid.
and Ozzy was alive, and I invited Jack. I think years earlier, I invited Jack and Ozzy because I knew their producer from the show, and they never took me up on it. And so when I finally did Fight Club, what they did was a mockery of me, and they had me on and being interviewed by some WWE ex-wrestler that's now a certified exorcist. Oh yeah, and I don't take kindly to stories of people.
Oh, see, I didn't know this.
It's like if you want to say you were once something and now you want to change in midstream and rediscover and reinvent yourself, go right ahead. But I got problems when somebody comes into the field and starts telling me about my house and the shit I should be experiencing.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Problems with it. No, this is what
Cross Jack Osbourne out of the whole situation.
It wasn't. This was not. That's not Jack. This is the WWE wrestler, ex-wrestler, now become an exorcist. And he says, you should be having terrible problems with your house. I said, I've been here for 17 years. At the time, it's probably maybe 20 years. And I said, I've been here for 20 years. I said, I have yet to experience anything the likes of which you're promoting and expounding on. I said, never a problem. I said, I have no problems with ghosts. Well, you should have the demons in this. I said, no, we don't have any demons here. I said, I find it kind of funny when you make that statement. And I was just basically just finding it so amusing and saying, yeah, whatever, guy, you want to buy into a pie, go buy into the pie, but don't bring it here to put my face in it, because I'm not playing that.
Okay, I don't know if it's me, but under that picture, which way is your lighting coming in? Because it looked like a shadow. You guys rewind it. It looked like a shadow come across. Okay.
Above my head.
So if the person was behind you, the shadow, there was a shadow. Okay.
That was a spirit.
Go back and look, you guys. It could be my eyes. Okay.
No, because the lights are right above us, and it's just 4 incandescent overhead lights.
And it's not your head, so okay.
No. So as I said, when they did the final wrap on that clip of me, Jack said, well, if anybody's possessed, that guy is. And then they cut to a meme of me with a jabberjaw like this, and flames coming out of my eyes and my mouth. At which point, when I saw the episode air, my friends all emailed me, texted me, said, what the hell was that? They made a joke out of you and said, if anybody's possessed, that guy surely is. And that was what Jack said. I called his producer.
Wow.
He said, all previous invitations to my house have been now withdrawn or off the table. I said, I have no interest in anybody that thinks that they can
I didn't know that.
Mockery of me and say, if anybody's possessed, that guy sure is. I said, I said, I've been in the television business for a long freaking time. I said, that was uncalled for. And I said, that is without a doubt never acceptable to me. And he is now persona non grata at this house ever. I don't care how much money you wave in front of my face. He's not coming here ever.
Because I know when Ozzy was still alive, we had talked about that, and Howard too. And
yeah, but that's low class. That's low class.
Fucked up. I'll say that for everything. I didn't know. I lost some respect for Jack. For that.
I sure as hell did. I felt like I was being dissed and shit on like nobody's business for no reason.
You're an amazing person, okay? And you've done a great service to the paranormal community because of the way you treat the community with extending your abode, okay? There's a lot of people that don't really know who you are. The reason why I wanted to make sure that you came on tonight, and I had especially these people here, because these people here mean a lot to me. And if I could give something to them, it would be to give, is to have you.
Because I'm a podcast. You guys will have some fun.
Well, I'm just saying, that's the important part, is because life is short, and you are a very important person to me. You always have been.
I think to a lot of us here, and I want to say this. I told you this earlier, Greg. David, you are an amazing person, and the thing is, David's not like these other
No, no, he's
assholes out
not.
there. You can have two people in your channel, and David will show up. It's like you care a lot about the smaller channels, the content creators. We have more fun, and yes, because you
I
do
care
come on.
about everybody. See, I don't see the thing is I do the shows. I don't sit there and go, "How many numbers do you have?" Oh, no, I can't do
Exactly,
that.
that's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
give a- If
You're
you
not
want me
like
on your
that.
show, I'm more than happy to be on your
You're
show.
not like that.
Period.
Like when
What
I
about-
called you up with Shannon, when I called you up with Shannon, you said if it wasn't for the game tonight, you would have been on there and she would have fell over and stuff. She's like, you didn't talk to him. I'm like, yeah, he'll be here like Thursday or something. She's like, what? So, yeah, that's,
That's a good
David does
part.
that. You can call him up and
Snob. Like, I
he's
just
not
can't
busy.
say, the spirits just said collectively, he's not a snob.
No, he's not.
So
Absolutely not.
we've got to make sure, because we're going to run out of time, but we have to make sure that Rex and Carol get another
something.
question in here,
Ask me, please.
Yeah, because I'm always talking. I'll sit back.
because no, and
No,
I
'cause
didn't.
I'm always talking. What are you talking about?
No,
I
I'm
was
just-
like a little
ahead.
kid. I was enjoying all the stories, and I was like,
Have you
"You
watched
can
his
talk.
movie?
That's fine."
Well, to have you on is amazing too, but to be able to meet him and
Come out here
talk with
and
him
hang out here for a
is
night.
something
See?
that you're going to carry for a long, long time,
No,
because
come
this
out there.
guy's legit.
Set it up.
Yes.
with you
You know,
guys.
there's
I'll
a
come
lot of
out
people-
there. We can do the podcast here with all you guys.
See?
live. It would be so freaking amazing. And we
Party
get
at
to write
Dave
it off.
Ullman's house. Let's go.
You forget the reason why you get to do it, because you get to write it off as a business expense.
There you go.
David, you have a very kind energy about you.
I'm just a crazy character. What else is new?
No, yeah, sometimes it depends. Today
It's-
you're David. We've had
You're also like
David
in the
come
team.
out.
Time out. You're quoting Zach Baggins, who says, "I share my body with spirits." It's like, what the
No.
Hey, today he's somebody else. It's like,
No,
what?
the first interview we had with you, because Howard's like, you were like so professional when we were talking, and then I said something, and I wouldn't say triggered you, but we started talking about how people were talking about the Indian burial and all this, and you just like, you spoke your mind. I was like, yeah, totally.
Because when you have somebody like Scott Michaels, the dearly departed tours, being interviewed with me by Bridget Marquardt, the Ghost Bunny, or the Ghost Magnet, Ghost Bunny or whatever it is, Ghost Magnet. She says to me this whole thing about your house is built on, and then Scott Michaels of dearly departed tours saying, "Oh yeah, it is." And I looked at him and I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, I heard it from Zach Baggins." I said, "Zach Baggins never went to college.
That was the
Zach
thing.
Baggins doesn't know American history. Zach Baggins doesn't know the history of LA. Zach Baggins doesn't know shit." And Bridget was like, "We're gonna have to edit that out. We can't say that." I was like, "I'm saying it because it's goddamn true. The house is not built on Native American ceremonial burial grounds, and that much has to be said." And she goes, "Why do you say it like that?" I said, "Because I hate people that lie and take a kernel of truth and turn it into a whole goddamn beat."
Just sit there narrative
Just
messed up.
bullshit. Because one guy supposedly, we don't even know if it's factually accurate, according to Lisa Williams, the psychic from England who was here, she said that there's a Native American on horseback whose remains were interred in a mound of earth in the earthen wall room. And I said, okay, fine. And this is in 2006, after Ghost Hunters aired. And she comes and tells me this. So I'm like, I'm not telling anybody anything. And the internet wasn't that big, so when people were spreading rumors and such. So when people came over, and I brought them in there, and including not Dr. Phil, who's the other one? From James Von Prague came over, who with Larry King Live is shooting a segment for an episode here with me and Shirley MacLaine. Von Prague goes into the earthen wall room, looks at the side of the mountain, and he goes, "I feel Native American energy in here. I got to get the hell out." I'm like, I look at my watch, and I go, the man was inside the gosh darn room for 10 freaking seconds. What the hell is that all about?
Mhm.
And then other psychics went in and said, I keep on hearing and feeling a Native American. And I'm like, I don't believe it. This is like, I'm not saying a word because I don't want to tell them. I want them to tell me without knowing anything. And I'm like, oh God. And then finally, when we shot in 2013, I think it was the Ghost Adventure show, I told Zach, and he turned it around and made it a goddamn cemetery on the side of the freaking hill for Native Americans. I said,
Nope.
that's not what I had said, but he took it and ran with it and made it out like it was the gospel and spread it as such. So people to this day keep repeating it. I'm going, not true. It is not true. It is not true.
Well, you don't say it that nicely, but
Well, with them telling the wrong stories, it could create an egregore or a tulpa.
Well, let's be honest. It creates a serious a legal issue because if a Native American Tongva tribe member decided to say that that was true, they could, through process of removal of the Native American Repatriation Burial Act, come in here, dig up the goddamn earthen wall all the way until they find some bones, even if there aren't any in there, and then have them removed and put under, into the correct burial site through their customs. That's what it could really come up to. Everything else is subject to, yeah, okay, fine. But if there was a thing that I'm worried about, it would be that. But the fact is we don't have proof that Lisa Williams is correct and there are bones in there to begin with. They could have also disintegrated through the years and spread through the entire house underneath the entirety of the house. We just don't know. So I don't think it's likely to happen.
I think you got different effects too because you're so close to the water.
Very nice, spirits. Boy, you guys, I hope I didn't offend anybody with that, and I hope you were pleased with that comment.
No, the water is going to be crucial in something like that as far as the bones are concerned.
Well, we have lots of mudslides up here, and that's how we know that through 3 centuries, at least 300 years, when she said the incident took place, he fell off his horse and fell down the hillside and broke both the horse and the rider's necks. That, the story is the story, but we have no proof to verify that outside of the fact that people came and say, I feel Native American energy. Well, good. You can't go digging up the hillside to go underneath the house to go see if there's bones there, that's for sure. I mean, you could if you had money, but I'm not looking to spend a couple of $1,000 to dig the hillside out. So.
Yeah.
And usually if there were, because I've noticed from going around doing investigations, with the land, the spirits will actually tell you who's in that land and stuff. You know what I mean? Like if it's native burial, you get some of them that will come through and talk.
Well, not burial. He as was said, he had an accident, fell down the hillside, and he and the horse broke their necks, and their remains were basically sat on the hillside, and through the years they decomposed and scattered through, and the mudslides had come. So, who knows?
You how many shamans have you had out there?
I think 3. One of whom was a shaman not only to one group of indigenous cultures, but nations. Sorry, indigenous nations and people, but like 50 across the globe. This guy was really like, and he said, I'll never forget. He goes down to the 3rd level to the earth, and he goes, my rheumatoid arthritis doesn't even feel anything. I got to tell you that. After being in that room, it goes, it basically, for how long? It goes for like a year it's been now. I was like, I lost track of him, but he said it felt like it was such healing energy. I was like, wow. But again, it's again, as is the case when people come in the house, everybody's wired differently.
Yeah.
So some person will feel something where another person doesn't. Some person will have a positive effect from being in the house. Another will have no effect from being in the house.
It's amazing, that things have happened the way they have, and you've continued to flourish because you're truthful. Where a lot of the other places across the country have been tainted.
Yes.
And in that respect of being tainted, they don't draw, they don't the interest of the people that are in the field. And you've got those other people, and as far as the people that have been on TV, I have every tape that was ever done from ghost hunters from in the very beginning. So that's all part of this too. And it's not showing you anything from me. It's the only thing between you and me is the common bond of the Lord. And that's what we have to remember. That's what
Also,
we
I
have
want to say David's a very humble guy. He's not like going out saying, "Oh, by the way, I have a haunted house." It's other people that be like, "Do you know who this is?"
Well,
So I appreciate that with David.
Emmy,
He's not the type that does that.
Emmy, you know that when we had the conversation earlier today, that it was meant to be anyway. And it's because you have helped me tremendously with David. And, I couldn't say thank you more. And thank you to David for being the gentleman that he is. Because there's a lot of people in the community that don't come close to that. No. And we have Rex, who is the giant, so that if you ever need a bodyguard, we'll get you set up with Rex, and Rex he'll take care of that part, and then Carol will come in spiritually and save the day.
All right.
I'll just keep you entertained by talking.
That's the best part about it is what you've done, and it's getting late for everybody, I imagine, to run the show.
No, it's light outside.
I know, but you're over there.
I know. Me and Dave's over here. You guys are over there.
But it's been awesome having you on, and it's once again, and it'll be less than a year the next time.
Can we have you back?
Whatever you want, please. I'm happy to be on the show. Come on.
I enjoy you. And I don't know how you slipped through the cracks this last time, and it took a year, so. But I wanted to make a point
when you were having computer problems, Greg.
Yes, that's right.
That was the last time he was on.
That was a night to behold.
Oh God!
I had to hunt him down this last time.
I think I was suffering. I think I had a nervous breakdown that night.
Oh God! I hope not.
It was like a fighter pilot. I couldn't fly anymore. But thank you very much for being here. And if you want to hang around for a minute, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and then we'll talk for a few minutes.
Yeah, if you guys are up for talking, you can.
Sure.
Always.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for being here tonight. It's been awesome having Mr. David Ullman here, and it makes my year complete. Period. So everybody have a great evening, a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thanks everybody for coming over and supporting
I want to say thanks to my co-hosts, PDX, well, Emmy, I'm saying Emmy, and Carol and Rex for being on tonight to help out. And,
thank you for having me.
Help coming up with any words that I forget, because I forget a lot, to say the least.
You're doing fine.
You guys all have a great evening, and we'll see you all later on. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Ha 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 ha.